Welcome to Becoming, hosted by the Colorado State Employee Assistance Program. On this podcast, we interview state employees about how they adopted different mindsets that changed how they lived their lives. We hope these conversations inspire you to reflect on your own mindsets, which could help improve your overall mental health and well-being. So, Danny, how are you feeling in this moment?
In this moment, I am happy to be here. It's been a difficult day for me, but it's all the more important that I am here with you talking today about why we came together.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for, holding space regardless of the day. And I think, you exemplifying this emotional intelligence right off the bat, it's going to be really fun and valuable for us to witness. Danny, tell me about your role for state government and your day-to-day.
Sure. For the past 6 years, I have connected people to AmeriCorps opportunities. So it's national service programs all over the state. And I work on a team called Serve Colorado in the Lieutenant Governor's Office. And we pass through federal funds to nonprofits and local governments. So my role could be traveling around the state to meet with those community leaders, to listen to what they do, what they need, and their ideas for solutions, and then trying to identify AmeriCorps opportunities for them. And now it's also focusing on member recruitment. So I'm supporting those current AmeriCorps programs with finding people from all over the state to serve in their community for up to 1 year.
Yes, you're building bridges.
Building bridges, that's right.
You are a bridge maker. Mm-hmm. Thanks for doing that work. Tell me about the traits you wanted to focus on today.
Yeah, I'd like to focus on some traits that I use every day and in every role in government that I've had, tied to my training in education and conflict resolution. And I've been in government since 2012 and really consider myself a conflict resolution practitioner who applies those skills and perspective to my work in government to be a better public servant and to be good stewards of public money and all of that. And a lot of that for me is on how we communicate with nonviolent communication, how I just treat people and expect people to treat others in my space, and even in the materials we produce.
Tell me about how you came to know these traits.
Yeah, I have had a lot of mentors over the years who have focused my skills and the way I value these things. I am gay, and I grew up in Oklahoma in a time when there were no gay-straight alliances. Back when there weren't community centers, back when Pride was not talked about on the local news, it was kind of a hidden thing, almost like an underground. And knowing that I was different even before I knew I was gay, I kind of had this natural curiosity for people and empathy, but I didn't know what empathy was. It took a long time for me to really understand why I connected with people, but I have thought I have a gift for connecting with people, but I didn't know what it was or how to use it. Some people, I think it's fluffy, and these skills, when we train on them, we call them soft skills.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's judgment there, I think, as in, as like social sciences versus physical sciences, let's say, right? But these skills are in diplomacy. They can prevent wars. They can help people peacefully protest. These skills help people be better citizens. And so I try to kind of pass that on in different ways in my job here. And I was in New York City in a place that I thought was safer than Oklahoma. And Columbia University had started a negotiation and conflict resolution program, made the most of it, became a certified mediator, and then took on all of these negotiation and facilitation skills, and also really focused my work on nonviolent communication, particularly in public discourse. And part of that would be helping people like transform their language and speeches, let's say, to take words of war or violence in nonviolent contexts and to take those out, to get away from a politics of fear and transform them to more constructive messages.
Can you give an example of maybe, hey, here's words of war and what it would look like to shift away from these specific words of war?
Yeah, so I have a couple things I'll say. One, when we just went through an election, And in certain states, if we're not sure which way it's going to go, some people, I think, unfortunately, use the term battleground states. And there is this heavy connotation of violence there, of enemies. And other people, though, will use the term swing state. It could go either way. And I think people, especially people in positions of high power and who are trying to be influential to large numbers of people, they know what they're doing when they choose one phrase over the other. And that phrase in particular is important to me because one of the people who I've never met but who was influential for me was Melissa Harris Perry, who used to have a weekend show on MSNBC. And during the 2012 presidential campaign, which is when I was doing my capstone thesis at Columbia, studying speeches from politicians, she was really latching on to the violent rhetoric in our public discourse. And I'm not going to say the whole thing, but she ended a show one day starting with the phrase, no matter how many times you hear the words battleground state, our neighbors are not our enemies.
Right. Violent rhetoric then guides us emotionally and almost gives us an out sometimes for specificity. For example, one of my close friends, she says something like, yes, some of us are fighting for our community, but I say I'm working for our community. I say I'm building for our community. And that is very different than I'm fighting for our community. Fight, build, work.
It's not just about nonviolent communication. It's also about me being very present with people and constructive in whatever I'm doing.
Can you give an example of like maybe part of your marketing or like when you're outreaching to communities, something that is constructive as opposed to words of war or violent communication that you would opt for rather, right?
One way that it manifests itself with not speaking just to the violent rhetoric is not also focusing on deficits. So when I'm helping people, it is, I guess, more of like an affirming approach to different issues, to community problems. It can be easy for people to get really worked up and caught up in all that is wrong. And when I'm talking with people, I'm not just saying, what are the community problems here? I say, like, who are you? What does your organization do? Oh, you're addressing this issue. Well, what could you do with 10 more people, let's say, for a year? What is possible here? And I help them find that possible, and maybe AmeriCorps fits in that. But part of it is trying to have a constructive conversation and not wallowing, if you will. And I just think about the words I use a lot, whether it's words of violence or just other things. And then also part of this is connecting with people well. I'm here with you, and right now, this is the most important thing for me, this conversation. And I don't have my phone out. And so also part of that is when I'm engaging with people, to connect with them better is to make sure they know I'm present.
I imagine it has to be part of it, right? Because when we think of violent communication or words of war, at the core of it is destruction. So what is the opposite of it? It's construction and connection.
Yeah.
Danny, if you could explain the importance of these traits to a child, how might you explain that to them?
My first thought is something I have actually used in a training as kind of a metaphor for some of this. I would want to watch, first, we would watch a movie. We would watch Pixar's Monster, Inc.
Okay.
Because I love in that movie how the monsters are working to get screams from kids because it gives them energy that they use in the world, right, to power their buildings and heat their homes and all of that. And what they learn along the way, kind of just serendipitously, if you will, is that the power of laughter is much more powerful than the power of screams.
Right.
That connecting in a positive way is much more powerful than fear.
Yes.
And I would watch that with a kid and talk about the power of laughter over the power of fear.
Yeah.
And kind of use that as a basis, like avoid all jargon. It's things that can speak to people of just about any age, and to connect that with how they're making people feel.
I'm curious, you spent a lot of time talking about what you try to teach people, the importance of some of these values, these lessons. I wonder, how have these things affected you on a personal level, living your life?
Sometimes just I get worried, imposter syndrome maybe, that what I'm trying to share might not connect, might not matter to people, or it might not help anybody. And then I get a feedback form, and they tell me that they love the nonviolent communication piece, that they're going to think about that, or activities that I do I do visual tools to help people kind of process what they're bringing to a session. We always start out with something like that. I always start with reflecting before interacting. And it does kind of remind me that I'm doing this good work, and that I should also practice some of this outside.
I like it. Is there anything you want to add?
In all my roles in government, it has been sometimes really difficult to navigate. I don't always have the right answer or know the best path forward, but I think it's really important that we treat each other well and help each other do good things. And so what I have also said sometimes to my team is, it even goes to taking care of yourselves. And if I don't take care of myself, if I don't use my sick leave, let's say, I can't help my team. And if I can't take care of myself and help my team, I can't connect people with AmeriCorps opportunities or whatever else I'm working on. And a big part of that then is just connecting with people better and trying to communicate in ways, in writing or verbally, in ways that are going to connect with the people I'm trying to, whether it's my colleagues or our constituents. And I'm not going to doubt somebody's commitment to the public good, but I think how we conduct that business makes a really big difference. And it's just being mindful of how we communicate with each other, how we help each other get along, and achieve what we need to achieve together, so that we can have the best impact for Coloradans.
And I'm sure that your thoughts on nonviolent communication are definitely going to have an impact on folks. Thanks for sharing your story with us, Danny.
Thanks so much, and I can't wait to hear other colleagues in the government sharing their stories as well.